Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. So today we are doing a transition out of the military Q&A. And as you guys know, Connor is officially out. He had his last day on November 4th, and so we are transitioning and talking about like him finding a job and just a whole bunch of stuff, my role as a wife and just everything. So these are questions that I asked you guys on Instagram that you gave me, and there were so many questions, which was amazing. But I put them in categories, so hopefully we can stick to those categories and answer as many questions as possible. So to kind of preface, if you guys don't know who we are, I'm Brittany.
I'm Connor.
This is Connor. We make up Brit+Con. We have been married for going
on 5 years.
5 years. Since, 2015.
In May, it'll be 5 years.
And we've been together for almost 10 years. He joined the military in 2013. So we weren't married the first 2 years he was in the military, but the rest of it we were. He was in for 6 years. He was in the Navy. He's a veteran of the Navy now. I feel like that's all you probably need to know about us. I've been doing military related videos since 2016. I started my very first video with a what do you need to know about being in a relationship with someone who's in the military, and since then I've just been making military videos. Now we're transitioning, so I'm still going to be doing a few military videos about what I've learned. I still have to get a new license plate for Washington. We live in Washington State. Which,
yeah, I have to get a driver's license for Washington too.
Yeah, so just like transition stuff, just a whole bunch of like transition. We are having a baby, and she will be due in 3 weeks. And so just lots going on in our life. So that's us, a little bit about us, but now we will get started with this video. Okay, so the very first question is, why did Connor choose to leave the military?
Well, I guess I'll take this one. So first of all, I didn't leave the military because of anything that I didn't like about the military. I actually really loved the Navy, and I know Brittany she didn't mind it either. She was a strong woman, and so we enjoyed the military. We enjoyed military life. A lot of good things that, you know, you have that security, you have that health care and stuff like that. And then you learn a lot of good traits for whenever you do decide to get out. So I love the military, and I loved the job that I had in the military. So it was nothing inside the military was like screaming at me to get out. It was really just me and my wife are starting a family, and so I don't want to, I don't want to miss any of the firsts. I don't want to miss our girl being born. I don't want to miss her first words. I don't want to miss the first time she crawls, the first time she walks, the first time, I know her first words are going to be dad, so I have to be here for it. Yeah, so I really just wanted to get out, and so that I could support my family in another way and still be able to be there for them. Yeah,
and I recently just learned about Connor that he has always wanted to be a dad. That's like one of his dreams, is just to be a dad. And so I think if wanting to be a dad was just something that he like saw that was cool one day, and his work was more important to him, then I feel like he would have stayed in the military, and then us having a family he would have been so excited for, but it wouldn't have caused him to leave. But because his like whole life he's just like wanted to be a dad, the idea of being in the military and having a family was kind of like heartbreaking to him. He wanted to be home, and he wanted to be and see our baby and just be through the process. Even when he was gone and I was pregnant, it was really hard for him. So I'm not complaining about that. I am grateful for that. And so yeah, I'm glad that he loved his job, but he can be here for our family. So yeah. All right, next question. How did you both decide that leaving the military was the best decision for your family?
I think by getting pregnant.
So for me, I kind of left it all up to Connor. I was like, whatever you decide, that's what you should do. Figure out what the Lord is telling you, and through that I know that that's going to be the best decision. That's always been the best decision. And so Connor kind of went back and forth. We have a previous video talking about how
they would offer him like a ton of money, and he would be like,
are you passionate about this job? Do you love this job? Do you see yourself retiring? Do you see yourself, what do you see yourself doing? And so it kind of goes back and forth. And then if you guys remember, we had a video on Connor possibly joining the reserves, and he really liked that idea. And then one day it wasn't that idea, and then it was again. And so there were just like so many flip-flops. And so really I just had to support him in all the decision making. And I was just like, whatever you want to do it, but like just take time deciding, and don't just like do it out of an impulse or for money or whatever. So he kept going back and forth, and we finally led here. So for my role was just really supporting him.
Yeah, for me, you know, obviously I mentioned earlier I really loved the Navy, but the job that I held in the Navy transitioned really well on the outside in the civilian world. And so just knowing that I could get out, and my potential for getting a job in the civilian life was a lot higher, just because of the job that I had inside the military, even without a degree. And so I think that, you know, mentality just allowed me to keep pushing for getting out and being okay with getting out, and knowing that even if I'm getting out and I'm leaving all of this security right when Brittany is about to, you know, give birth. It was a big like faith jump too. Another question that I'll get into right now, actually, because it kind of transitions well, is when did he start looking for a new job after he left the military? Brittany suggested this, and I was scared as heck to do this, but after I got out of the military, I waited 2 weeks without not a single, like, search. Not even Googling jobs near me, you know, no job search, no Glassdoor. And so that was hard for me the first like half of a week, or maybe even to a week. But it really was a big like faith act that Brittany wanted me to do, because just being in rest and knowing that God would provide on his timing, and his timing is always perfect, that allowed me to just kind of relax through those 2 weeks. And then the next 2 weeks, that's when I hit the ground running. And like literally on the first, not even the first half of a week that I started looking for a job, I went to this conference and like basically got hired. So it was
and the reason I told him to do this, Connor actually started looking for a job a year in advance before leaving the military, because he knew that he was thinking about reserves, but even with reserves you want to find a job. So he wanted to start looking and seeing what's out there. But for him, and for most people, when you start looking for jobs, there's the line between I'm just looking versus I'm gonna apply. And so he started with just looking, but then there was like the heart of wanting to apply, wanting to have security, because it's frightening getting out of the military. And so he started applying, but no one was hiring him because it was a year out. And he was like getting discouraged.
I can plan for my future a year out, but I can't even plan a date for tomorrow.
Right. And so he was like doing a year, and I kept telling him like, people aren't gonna hire you because it's a year out, but just be patient. So then 6 months before he got out, started doing the same exact thing, looking, getting discouraged. And then even like 2 months before, looking, getting discouraged. And he realized how hard it was to find a job, because like most people in the military, they go from high school, so they never have any like professional resume experience, never have like a professional job. It's just the military, which is a professional job, but you're not like looking and searching and interviewing and stuff like that. So for him it got really discouraging, and he got to a point of like just being stressed, being upset, like all these things. And I suggested like, and I got this idea from one of my friends. She was like, just why doesn't he take like some time off to just like relax and just enjoy not having a job? And so I suggested that to him, and she actually had said like a month or two, and I changed it because I was like, he's never gonna go for that. Never gonna go for that. So I was like, how about you take 2 weeks to just rest with the Lord and just be praying about the job and stuff like that. And then the Lord gave him a job, which was amazing. But yeah, so like it was just really hard for him because he was searching, getting anxious and stressed and everything, and it turned out to be not good for his mental health, finding a job. So yeah, I
was like stressed out all the way until like my last day in the military too. Yeah, so from a year out until the last day in the military, I was stressed out about finding a job. And then those 2 weeks that I took afterwards were like, I really, like, there was not 1 ounce of me that was focused on finding a job. And so it was really relaxing, and ultimately I think if I hadn't have done that, I probably wouldn't have found the job that I have now, which is an amazing job, I think. So
yeah. Why did he decide against reserves?
So I really like the idea of reserves, and funny story,
The Russians.
no. So I was an FCA, fire controlman Aegis in the Navy, and they normally, I mean, they don't have FCAs in reserves. So I went into the reserves thinking I'm gonna have to change my my job, and we kept going in, and they kept trying to, you know, get me a job that would suit me, and none of the billets would take a bite, you know. It wouldn't work. Every time I did it, every month, it wouldn't work. And finally, I got a letter saying that I was gonna be an FCA reservist, which is unheard of. There's like no FCA reservists in the whole fleet. And I was like trying to look up statistics and stuff like that, and I would have been one of 1 FCA. So I think like with that, that could have either been really good or really bad. It would have been like 100% to FCA 1 or 0% to FCA 1. And I don't know, I don't want to fight those odds. So another reason is like, yeah, you're not in the military, like active duty and stuff like that. You don't have to be gone all the time, but I don't want to have to shave every month, you know? And
I think it just came down to, again, like the shaving, but also the family aspect, because he kept saying like, if I were to go reserves, there's a chance that I would have to leave again. And for him, it was like, he just didn't want to leave. He just didn't want to have to be gone at all from our child's life. And so that was kind of like, our baby really was the reason for him wanting to get out. I
want there to be no way, no chance for me to miss the birth of my baby. So
yeah. So can you go back in if you decide to join the military again?
Can you go back in?
Yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah. So the Navy does this new thing. I think it's called so there's a gold ticket and a silver ticket. That basically says like, if you are, you know, a stand-up military person, you don't have any bad NJPs or whatever, any type of punishment, then up to, I forgot how long, but it might be up to 2 years or something, you can use your silver ticket or your gold ticket or whatever that you get when you get out, and you can join the Navy or the whatever branch at the same rate and rank as you were when you got out. So normally when you get out of the military, and if you want to join the military again, or if you want to get back in the military, you'll go in as a rate below the rate that you were when you got out. But this ticket system, whatever, gold, silver ticket, allows you to come in at the same rank you were whenever you got out. So it's really nice, and same like pay scale and everything.
Is it hard to make the choice to get out?
It wasn't hard for me.
For me, I would say that I think it's hard. It might not be hard for him, and I think it kind of was hard for you because you had to go back and forth so many different times. But it was hard to like finally say. So
the hard thing I think for me was, I think I knew I wanted to get out a year before I got out, and what was hard for me was keeping that a secret. Because,
from the rest of everyone?
Yeah, because, you know, once your chain of command knows that you want to get out, well, they're not going to do things for you, you know, they're not going to lavish you with awards and stuff.
Yeah, and Connor's the type of person where he like is always wanting to grow, always wanting to
climb the ladder,
be the best, things like that. And yeah, for him, he was like, he wanted to keep it a secret from them because he wanted to like prove himself to be just as good as anyone else and not just be like a slacker just because he's getting out. But for me, I think it was hard to stand by and know that he was getting out, because I also have this fear, and I'm sure he had this fear of like the financial security, the stability, the job security, the comfort of all the military has to offer. That was really difficult to make that decision, because for me, I was like, I really hope you do get a good job after the military. I actually don't even know what you do. Like, I kind of know, there are a few things that I know about his job, but like, I'm more of the artsy person and he's more of the like electrical type of person, and I know nothing about that. So I try to understand, but for the most part, I'm like, what job would you get outside of the military, you know? And so for me, it was really hard to make that decision, or to like finally put my foot down, because I was like, okay, Lord, I have to trust you with this, because I have no idea if he's gonna have a job after, or if we're gonna be financially supported or anything like that. And so yeah, it was like really scary, but I mean, we did it, so
yeah,
here we are.
You don't have to. Of course, you can let it be known like 3 years out if you want, and they can't do anything. Like they shouldn't like reprimand you for that. But no, yeah, you don't have to keep it a secret. A lot of people just serve, you know, 4 years. Like a lot of people. There's not a lot of people who stay in, and that's why the Navy has all these bonuses and stuff to entice people to stay in, because they need people to stay in. They need chiefs, and they need, you know, master chiefs, and they need those higher ranking officials. But yeah, a lot of people get out after the first term, and it's not something to, like, you'll encounter some people that are like, you're not staying in for 20, and just don't worry about those people. Most of the people are like, yeah, I mean, you do you. Yeah, like, this is your life, you know. We're still lucky to, you know, for you to have served for, you know, the last 4 years. You've done a great job. If you do plan on getting out and you tell somebody about it, don't start slacking, because that's terrible, and then you're gonna hate the last year or however long you told them of your military career, and then it's gonna leave a bad impression on you, and then you're gonna go out and then you're gonna tell all these people that the military sucks and don't join and stuff like that, but really you did that to yourself.
Right.
So don't be like, I worked hard all the way up until my last day. I even stayed late on my last day.
Yeah.
I packed up all my stuff. I got in my truck. I was driving home on my last day, and my command called me and said, hey, we forgot to, you know, give you an award. Do you want to come back to the ship? And I'm like, I'm getting out of the military. This award is not going to do anything for me, like, period. But I'll go back, you know. I want to show them that I'm, you know,
dedicated,
reliable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the way up until the last day.
Yeah.
So if you do plan on getting out, like, you still can get a lot of good things from the military. So take advantage while you're in.
Do you miss anything about your job?
The only thing I really miss is like the camaraderie of the Navy. Camaraderie of the military is a lot different than the civilian life, and so that was good, but that's about it. Yeah. Is
the process of moving out of the military take a long time?
It can take a long time. You want it to take a long time, right? You want to start transitioning out of the military well in advance. There's a lot of things that you have to do to get out of the military, and if you wait till the last week, like a lot of it, I waited until the last week, which I shouldn't have, but that's only because I didn't believe I was getting out yet, you know. But
it doesn't really hit you.
Yeah, it doesn't hit me. But like things like going and you know, going to the VA to do your VA claim and stuff like that. That's stuff that you can do like 180 days out, you know. That's when you want to start doing your medical stuff, right? Because that takes the longest. And then after you got your medical stuff, then, you know, 2 weeks out to a month out before you get out, that's when you want to get your checkout sheet. You want to check out with everybody who, you know, the ITs, because you have computer access. You want to check out with them. You want to check out, actually, a little golden nugget, you want to check out with your IT guys like a week before you get out. Because then when somebody asks you to, you know, hey, can you do whatever on the computer for me? You can be like, oh man, I'm sorry. I
checked out already.
Yeah, IT's took my access away. You want it to take a long time. You don't want it to be a short time, because then something's going to get missed, and then you're not going to get some benefits or whatever the case may be that you should have gotten after the military. So don't do it all last minute, because it's a pain in the butt, I promise.
You have like a long beard hair that I just want to like clip. Or mustaches. I'm like... Was it hard for him to find a job after the military? There's
this great, I call them headhunters. That's what they are. It's a company called Orion. And there's like Bradley Morrison, and there's like Lucas Group.
And they work specifically with?
Well, Orion does.
Orion.
Orion works specifically with military. But they're all headhunters. So what that means is some big company out there pays them to hire people for them. They get paid more, the higher salary that they hook you up with. So it's like a win-win. They want to hook you up with a high salary so that they can ultimately get paid more. It's totally free for me, for you, for military, for anybody who uses headhunters. It's free because they're getting paid by the businesses. As I was telling you guys, I took that 2 weeks off. Of course, like before these 2 weeks, I was already in contact with Orion. Orion said, hey, there's a job conference or a job fair, right?
Job fair, yeah.
Whatever it was, in Seattle. So I was like, okay. I sent in my resume. Orion is so good that not the day before or 2 days before, we did like a video chat with me and like 6 other people who were getting out of the military. Did a video chat with the Orion guys because they're stationed up in San Diego for the most part. So we got in a video chat with Orion. Orion gave us the whole laydown. So like, here's the businesses that are going to be there. This is the job that they're hiring for. They normally hire people with these type of attributes and these, and look them in the eye and stuff like this, and you want to wear this stuff, so don't wear something like this. And so they like totally tailor you to whatever job you want to go and be successful in. And they do all that stuff in a matter of one 2 hour video conference. I don't even think it was 2 hours. I think it was like an hour and a half. But anyways, and then we went to the job fair, and they had all the other jobs give presentations to us, and their presentations included salary most of the time, so that was good to know. And then you could, kind of weed out your businesses based off salary if that's what you're looking for. And then the second day is when you do the actual interview. So by the second day, you already know a lot about this company, and you know a lot about the people who are going to interview you, which is cool. And so, yeah, I interviewed with 3 different companies, and all 3 of them were like, yeah, we want you to have a job with us. But only one of them was like a managerial role. The other 2 were like technician roles. And so I didn't want to be a technician anymore. I've been a technician for like the past 6 years, so I was done with it. But yeah, it was pretty easy to full circle. It was really easy for me finding that job.
I would say that it was easy finding that job, but for him, like how hard is it to find a job after the military? It is not easy. Yeah. Because he had to look and had to search, and even though the headhunters were contacting him, which was really amazing, there's so many opportunities, but there's so many people looking for jobs. And so whenever you align your skills of the military with a civilian job, it can be really difficult. It took him, months. He had to take a break, and then he had to trust the Lord that the Lord was going to find him a job. And then that's when like Orion was contacting him and stuff like that. But before that, it was very, very stressful. And I think the process with Orion was easy, but the process of finding a job was hard.
Yeah, I think if I would have known about Orion beforehand, it would have made my life a lot easier, because I could have started talking to them a year out, because they even work with people a year out, and then during that time they'll like, get your affairs in order, like your resume and stuff like that. They'll help you do that. And so if I would have known about them, I think it would have made it a lot easier. But just my one suggestion to all of you who plan on getting out, if you're getting out of the military and you want to find a job, I definitely recommend going through Orion, because they were literally a lifesaver. They were like awesome. Everyone there is awesome. Everyone there who works at Orion has been in the military, and so they understand, and they're just really good guys. So
yeah. So did the military help you find a job, and were your skills transferable?
So the military did help me find a job. There's this program or class that you have to go to, well, at least for the Navy, you have to go to this before you can get out, and it's called TAPS or TGPS. And what it is a transition guidance something. I don't know. What it does is it teaches you how companies are looking at resumes, and it teaches you how to write a legitimate, like a good resume, and it shows you ways that you can search for jobs, and it tells you about headhunters, and it tells you what you can do to prepare. It tells you about union jobs if you want to work union jobs. It pretty much tells you everything you need to know about the civilian, not everything you need to know, but a lot about the civilian workforce, and so you can get acclimated to it. The only thing I hated about that class is it was only a week long, and they shove a lot of information. That class should definitely be longer. 2 weeks long, yeah, at least.
You can go multiple times though, right?
Yes, so I would recommend you going a year out and then going like 6 months out. I only had the opportunity to go once because of our ship schedule, but yeah, I would recommend going. You can go as many times as you want to go, as long as your command will let you go, but I would recommend going a year out and then 6 months out, because it is a lot of information, and you'll learn something new every time. Plus your resume is going to change in between that time, and so it gives you an opportunity to fine-tune your resume too. So another question, are my military skills, were they easily transferable into the civilian world? And I would say, like, the only reason why I have the job that I have now is because of the skills that I learned while I was in the military. One, I didn't know anything about electricity in high school. I didn't learn that until the military. Now my job has nothing to do with electricity, but I'm just saying something like that. Like I wasn't an electrician. I didn't know about electricity. I knew lights worked somehow. I knew AC, DC, that was about it. And so the military taught me everything I know about electricity. Huh?
AC/DC.
Oh. And then after I, learned my basic job, in the military you wear so many different hats. And so you learn a lot of different things, which is good. So in the military I did a lot of safety work because I was in charge of a lot of people's safety. So I ran a lot of different programs that ensured people were safe whenever they were doing certain evolutions. And with that, I gained a lot of like OSHA experience. I gained a lot of just that safety mindset of just being mindful of hazards and trying to mitigate risks of hazards. So that gave me this safety mindset, and that's what the job that I have now is all. I'm a safety coordinator, and so I would have never gotten this job without learning a lot about safety while I was in the military. And so if you do your military career right, if you take control of your career and you learn as much as you can while you're in, definitely can be way beneficial when you get out. But again, you got to have the willingness to learn that stuff while you're in. You can't walk around every day of your military life and say, oh, woe is me, I don't like being here, I just want to get out, I can't wait to get out. And you still have 3 years left. Yeah, you're probably not going to learn a lot, and you're going to get out and you're not going to know what to do. You're not going to have any skills that you've developed. So it's all about the mindset and attitude. But you get to take out of the military as much as you put in. Yeah. So if you want to have a lot of skills, when you get out of the military, you got to put in the time to learn those skills while you're in the military. It's not like you get out of the military and boom, skills are uploaded into your head. So it depends on who you are. But if you want to learn, then you're going to succeed on the outside. But if you don't want to learn and you just want to go day by day just doing your normal daily things, which a lot of people do in the military, then you're probably not going to do well on the outside.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
You kind of answered what your job is. You're safety coordinator at Hermanson. How quickly were you cut off from your paycheck and benefits? How did you save for this moment?
Okay, yeah, I got my last paycheck on my last day of the Navy. However, it was a prorated paycheck, so they paid me for the last 2 weeks, and then they also paid me for the rest of the time that I worked. So my paycheck was bigger than a normal paycheck, so it was prorated. And they also paid me in that paycheck. They paid me back for the 2 days of leave that I still had saved up, because I only had 2 days left. So if you have any type of leave days, they'll pay you for that, and all of that will be in one paycheck.
And then how quickly were you cut off from benefits?
Well, TRICARE, the last day for TRICARE was the day that I got out of the military. So,
yeah, so insurance.
November 4th, TRICARE stopped.
Which we'll talk about, in a little bit. And then how did you save for this moment? We knew that he was going to be possibly in reserves, and so I'm of course the saver, which I've talked about a lot. So I was like, we need to make a plan. We need to have money in our savings account, and he was on board with that. He was like, we need to start saving. And so Connor actually, a year before getting out, was like, I'm gonna save this amount of money and it's gonna go straight into my savings. He would take straight from his paycheck and put like a certain amount of money in savings. And then I started doing that like 6 months in advance, and we started to just put money in our savings because we wanted to have at least 3 months to where we could pay our mortgage without Connor having a job. And we hoped that we wouldn't have to use it, but we just were like, if we need to, we have at least 3 months in our bank account to pay for our mortgage and just other things. How much does your military healthcare cover for you during pregnancy and delivery? So for pregnancy and delivery, TRICARE covers basically everything. Probably, everything. Because I have not had to pay a single medical bill when it comes to pregnancy and well, I haven't delivered yet, but probably delivery I would have to pay some because it's a little bit more than just an appointment. But for just regular appointments, I haven't had to pay anything, $0 at all. And we had TRICARE standard, or whatever it's called now.
Whatever, with an S.
Yeah, something. TRICARE.
I think standard or something.
TRICARE something. So we had that one. So even with that, we paid $0, and I had amazing doctors. Well, I had midwives. They're amazing. So yeah, it's just been really cool. But healthcare after transition. So we found out that, we thought it was 180 days that you could have TRICARE after getting out. But having TRICARE after, for like the 180-day period, is really only for people who join the reserves. And then there's other like random things that you can do, but it's mostly for people who are joining reserves.
Called TAMP.
Yeah, TAMP. But if you're not doing that, there's something called Continued Health Benefit Coverage
Program. Yeah, something like that.
And that is actually for 18 to 36 months. It's 18 for most people, but then that you can extend it to 36 depending on your circumstance. Yeah. But you can do it for 18 months, and it is through Humana, which is also contracted.
Part of, MIM and TRICARE work side by side.
Yeah, by TRICARE. But it's more of like a COBRA type thing. You have to pay for it. You can't just like get it for free like you do TRICARE. Well, you don't really get it for free, but anyways, you have to pay for it, and it is a pretty penny. But because we're going through pregnancy, birth, we were looking at the coverage for it, and it's amazing.
Covers like a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
Basically everything that TRICARE standard covers, this continued health coverage covers. And so we got it for the next 3 months specifically because he has a job now, and so we can transition into getting health care from his job. But the military does offer health care after getting out. You have to pay for it. It does cost a lot, but it covers an amazing amount of things. So would recommend if you're going through pregnancy and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think if Brittany wasn't pregnant, we probably wouldn't have done the Humana thing.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't have had any insurance. Maybe getting like the Apple insurance or something really cheap.
Super cheap.
And basic.
Until I got my job,
Yeah, but the military does offer it, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Did you plan your pregnancy around his time in the military for health coverage? So the funny thing about this is that it's a yes and no answer. So
this one's actually pretty funny. It's like a slap in the face kind of for me, and I'll tell you why.
Because for me at least, there's an idea of when you want to have a child, and then there's the idea of when God wants you to have a child. And so for me, I was like, okay, being the planner of like, okay, if I would have had a baby, so I found out I was pregnant April of this year, but I was trying to get pregnant like last summer. So I was like, okay, if we have the baby, in 2018, then once she comes out, we'll still have health coverage, and blah 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 blah. This is how it's gonna work out. It's gonna be perfect, and blah 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 blah. Like all this perfect plan of mine. And then every single month that I didn't get pregnant, I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I still have this many months until Connor gets out, and then I still have this many months and this many months, and it was like this scary feeling of I still have this many months, but it seems to be getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Because #God's plan. And I was like starting to get nervous, and so there was that plan of like, yes, we did plan, and we wanted to plan for when Connor's getting out and the military and the health coverage and stuff like that, but then there was God's plan of you're going to get pregnant right when the cutoff is.
Yeah, so that was the spot.
So that you can trust me, trust that I'm going to provide for you, and you're going to be great because I'm going to give you everything you need. Yeah. Because we did, like, it's November, December that she's going to be born. We got cut off in November, but, like, praise God that, one, Connor has a job that we would have to, like, we were kind of fearful of, like, God, what are you going to provide for us? You know, we need health insurance. That Connor got a job, but also that there was the financial support.
Continued health care.
Of TRICARE, yeah. And so it was like, yes, we did plan, but also we didn't because it's really God's timing. And it was really also perfect because Connor had been gone all summer and really like this past fall for the military because they were preparing for their next deployment. And so technically if we would have like gotten pregnant in 2018 when we wanted to, Connor would have been gone for our child's birth. And so it was like, because he's out and because like we really had to trust God, he's gonna be there for our baby's birth. And so just, yeah, it was just crazy the way that God did it because we wanted to plan, but our plans never work out. So
they didn't. It's like his plan was like in between all of our other plans. So like this one spot was like, okay, that's probably the worst time. And then he was like, that's the time. That's where I'm gonna insert baby born.
Yeah. So he was like, so you can see how amazing I am and how I can work.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a yes and no answer. What are you most excited for in this next chapter being out of the military? I wrote like some few notes. I put starting a family and having Connor home, growing our marriage, learning how to be parents, and staying like in Washington. Another question was, are we gonna move back to Texas? And we're staying in Washington. So just seeing like how God's gonna use us here, I think is another really cool thing that I'm excited for in this new chapter of our life.
Yeah, I think for me, like there's a lot of life extremes happening all in the matter of the next couple months. Well, like not anymore since I got a job and stuff, but so like it's getting out of the military, I wouldn't have a job, and we have a baby on the way. So then also I'm finding a new job, and then I'm gonna have to learn this new job. But my first like 2 weeks on the job, I'm gonna have to leave for 2 weeks because my baby's gonna be born. And so there was a lot of stressors. But I think all of that stuff is gonna definitely turn out to be really worth it. And like Brittany was saying, God has a plan, and so yeah, I think I'm really excited for whatever is to come next. Yeah,
there's just like so many different transitionings happening that I think it's like the perfect time for God to use us in like relying on him and trusting him and refining us through the process of all the transitions. So I think that's kind of exciting. Do you plan on using your GI Bill to go back to college? Did you get any college credit from the Navy? Tuition assistance after getting out of the military, what's all covered? Does Connor have plans to go to college after the military?
So I did get college credit while I was in the Navy. A lot of those credits actually came from the schools that the Navy sent me to for my job, and then also I did some online courses on deployments and on underways. I would knock out some online courses. Yes, I got some college credits during that time, and but TA back then was a lot different than what it is now. I think TA is a lot more strict now, and I think they're not letting you have as much money or something. But the GI Bill is the same. Of course, you have the Montgomery GI Bill and the 9/11. Even if you have the Montgomery Bill, you can, say you want the 9/11 instead, but you can't have the 9/11 and say you want the Montgomery Bill instead because you pay for the Montgomery Bill. I think $1,200, $100 a month for a year.
Oh.
But do I plan on using the GI Bill? Like, eventually, yes, but like right now, in this time of my life, probably not. I don't, like, I cannot add one more stressor to my life.
Right.
But yeah, probably not right now. There's a lot of people who go full-time college after the Navy, and that's good, because with the GI Bill, they'll pay you BAH from whatever college you're going to if you're full-time, which is nice. So that's, for a lot of people, that's like $2,000, $2,100 a month, which is really good if you're in college. Yeah, I probably won't use it for a while. I'm gonna probably give it like a year, and then I don't know, do something cool like culinary.
Yeah.
You know, but
we'll see.
Yeah.